Here for the Nationals. But first, the PM today announcing his second-term ministry. All individuals, I remind everyone, chosen by the factions, with the PM left only to allocate the portfolios over the weekend. Now, I'll get to that announcement in detail in a moment, but while he was doing all of that, the coalition parties, well, they've been working the phones, making calls and taking calls as they elect their new leadership teams. This afternoon, of course, that was the Nationals who met at 3 p.m. in Canberra to re-elect David Littleproud as leader, Kevin Hogan elected as the new deputy. I'll get into that result a little later with my panel, but Littleproud's reinstatement of his party's position on nuclear, well, it was unequivocal.
We've had the courage on nuclear energy, something that our party room has believed in for a very long time. An all-renewables approach won't work, but it was our party room from many people before us that had the courage to come forward, but it was us, it was our party room that delivered it.
Now, that clear position on nuclear from the Nats is important as to where the coalition goes now, and I'll explain that in a moment. Tomorrow, of course, it'll be the Liberals who meet to elect their new leadership team, and unlike the Prime Minister, the new Liberal leader will also choose their shadow ministry as well as allocate the portfolios. But regardless of who wins tomorrow's Liberal leadership contest, the real issue is whether the Liberal Party will be a strong and clear alternative to the Albanese government. That's why the recent election was lost, because on too many issues, the Liberals were not a clear alternative. And on those issues where they were a clear alternative, they didn't put up much of a fight. Like you, I cheered when Peter Dutton committed the coalition to ending the ban on nuclear power, because if Australia really does have to get to net zero, the only way to do so and keep the lights on is via emissions-free nuclear power. Sadly for our country, having made that commitment, the coalition failed to win the argument. Indeed, it hardly even prosecuted it. Peter Dutton never once did a media event outside the Lucas Heights nuclear reactor that's been operating very safely in Sydney's south for nearly 70 years. Nor did he ever do a media event outside a medical diagnostic facility where nuclear medicine is a vital part of detecting and treating cancers for millions of Australians. Nor did he push hard with the example of Ontario in Canada, which gets some 50% of its power from nuclear energy, and where power costs there are about half of what Australians pay. Indeed, once the coalition had made its nuclear announcement, the only people talking about nuclear power were the Labor Party.
This time, they need to find $600 billion to pay for their nuclear reactors. And a $600 billion nuclear plan...
I know you say that. It's not, mate. You say this all the time. It's not. It's not. You know it's not. You know it's not.
I know it is.
You know.
Now, that $600 billion figure, as I've said before, didn't come from a reputable expert. It was cooked up by something called the Smart Energy Council, a renewable industry lobby group stacked with ex-Labor insiders. And on the board at one time, Climate 200 founder, the Teal's puppet master, Simon Holmes-A-Court. But despite Labor's lies about the cost of nuclear power, let's look at the objective electoral facts from last weekend. Because now that the results are clear, what's evident is that the seats where nuclear power stations might have been located well, showed there was no rejection of the coalition. Indeed, far from it. In most of these seats, the coalition actually improved its position despite going backwards on a national scale. Maranoa, the side of the Tawong power station, David Littleproud, well, he got 71% of the 2PP vote. In Flynn, the side of the Khalid power station, Colin Boyce, well, he got a 6.7% two-party preferred swing in his favour. In Hunter, the side of the Liddell power station, there was a big swing to Labor, but no greater there than the national swing. In Calare, the side of the Mount Piper power station, the ex-National Independent, he held on, but he did not campaign against nuclear power. In Grey, the side of the Port Augusta power station, there was an anti-Liberal swing, but this was also to a range of factors. There was the retirement there of the incumbent long-standing Liberal and also a strong Teal campaign. Despite that all, though, the Libs held the seat. In O'Connor, the side of the Collie power station, Rick Wilson got a 7% two-party preferred swing in his favour, unlike many other Liberals in WA. And finally, in Gippsland, side of the Loy Yang power station, Darren Chester, well, he got 70% of the 2PP vote. Now, despite the fact that the British Labor Party, the Democrats in the United States and the Canadian Liberals, they're equivalent of our Labor Party here, so all of the Anglosphere's leftist parties, despite the fact that all of them support nuclear power, here in Australia, the Labor Party remains fanatically opposed. And then there's now this strong campaign to get the Liberal Party to back Labor's energy policy, the policy that funnels billions and billions of dollars of subsidies to anyone in the renewable sector. Here's the website for Premier State, the lobbying firm controlled by Liberal factional manipulator Michael Photius. Along with numerous green energy firms, the Smart Energy Council is a Premier State client. And now a Photius-supported Liberal, Senator Maria Kovacek, is calling for the Liberals to drop their support for nuclear energy.
This is a policy that went to an election. The election result was devastating. So the message from the community is very, very clear, and that's why I believe that this nuclear policy has to go.
Well, fibs to her. I mean, the response from the community is very much in favour of nuclear. If you look at the seats where the nuclear power plants were identified and would have been built if the coalition was elected. Plus, there's been a high rotation ad campaign on this station and others by something called Liberals Against Nuclear, urging the defeated party to adopt Labor's energy policy. Now, we can be sure that Liberals Against Nuclear are being funded by big wind and big solar, people who will make millions and millions out of more and more renewables. Make no mistake, there will be massive pressure brought on the new leader to drop support for nuclear power, especially if Susan Lee is the leader, because her support comes from factional players like Photius. Make no mistake what drives all of this. It's a campaign by cashed-up renewables, energy vested interests to protect their subsidy harvesting business model. This is not about helping the Liberal Party. It's about helping Labor, because it's Labor policy that's padding the profits of these green zillionaires. And it also has the potential to split the coalition too, given how strongly the Nationals support nuclear power. If the coalition is split, well, that's goodbye to government for a generation. This is what's driving the anti-nuclear campaign. It's not about cheaper power for you or industry. It's about nothing more than the millions and millions in profit that all of these players can make out of taxpayer subsidies. This is why where to now for the Liberals matters as much as it does.